hate online is not something that is it's not a static problem. We've seen it change and change over the years. And even from week to week, we'll see trends in the words that people are using, or there might be an attack in the world and there will be some sort of response that will trigger a lot of hate speech online. The best thing that we can do as a first step in the process of combating hate speech is to really listen to our local communities and talking to the communities and figuring out, what does hate look like in Bangladesh? What does it look like in South Africa? And creating the appropriate solutions.
We launched something called the Trusted Flagger program a couple of years ago for YouTube. And what it is a program where we give special tools to NGOs who have expertise in issues like extremism and hate speech and child safety and so on, where they can alert us to content in bulk. Their flagged content gets expedited review. We give them one-to-one communication with our staff. And it's been a really successful way not only for us to be quickly alerted to content that violates our policies and needs to be removed, but also to build out our expertise. And our policies are dynamic. They grow over time. So one of the commitments we're making is to expand the Trusted Flagger program to an additional 50 NGOs this year. And we're well on our way. We've onboarded 35 NGOs across the globe who can help us, as Monica said, identify these issues as they play out in countries around the world. We created a new state for videos that are offensive but don't cross the line to violation of our policies. And what we do is we put them behind a warning interstitial. They still exist on the platform, but we strip out all the bells and whistles. So there are no recommended videos. It's not eligible to surface as a recommended video. There are no comments. There are no likes. It's just there, so the views are exposed, but it is not there for engagement.
It's important for us to sort of listen to a wide variety of perspectives, also engage just with the other tech companies as they deal with these issues, lessons that we can learn from the work that they've done, and to go from there. There's no perfect solution. There never will be. It's a constant, you move this lever, that doesn't work, you move another lever, and you keep pushing at it. And so I think we're very cognizant that there's a lot of work to be done, and we just have to keep moving forward.
A lot of this work involves real people around the world looking at what has been said and trying to figure out whether or not it is hate speech. And it's not so easy when you think about the fact that they often are looking at a very small sliver of what a person is saying. They're not necessarily seeing everything about this person's ideology. They're seeing just a post or just something somebody has said online. When you think about doing that in different cultures and different languages around the world, and you think about the different ways that people communicate in different cultures, that is a challenge for us.
So it would be really easy to have a keyword based on some of the things that you just flagged, right? Like, none of it's allowed on any platform. You just block it. I don't think that's really to the benefit of society, and I don't think it's to the benefit of the platforms, right? So I think, for us, the way we look at it is, things get reported to us. We review them, especially for us, we have the distinction of the subreddits versus the individuals, right? So we look at it to see, is it within our policies? Do we also need to amend our policies, right? And do we want this on the platform? Is this a conversation about the issue, or is it actually, is there an incitement to violence, some sort of discussion or glorification of violence that should be occurring? Our policy, a week ago was just that if you incited violence to a group of people, then you were banned, right? So what we did is sort of, as we were looking at the platforms to see like what's actually happening, what's getting reported, where are our hotspots, it was a combination. We all, similar to YouTube, we had a quarantine policy that we had done a long time ago, probably 2.5 years ago. We would quarantine certain material, but didn't essentially remove it from the site, but just reduced its visibility on the site. It's very easy for me to say a lot of this content should be gone, right? But there was also a time in the 60s, when you could have made the same arguments for some of the civil rights leaders or Malcolm X. And so I think for us, we're definitely at a crossroads of kind of, how do we want to deal with this? How do you allow for sort of, how do you allow for the raw conversation and to know that this exists, but that doesn't lead down the path of bad behaviors, right? So I think that's where you're going to see tech start to focus. But I think we all as platforms still believe and want our users to be able to in some ways to express, the challenges and the issues and the struggles that they face.
But the first prong of how we deal with this is that we have available a way to notify us of content that violates the law so that we can block it in the relevant jurisdiction. So that's the first thing. There's a lot of concern about governments around the world about illegal hate speech. So the second part is the content policies that the platforms have developed. And these are the voluntary policies that govern the site that are more about the balance that we're trying to strike between allowing YouTube to be a platform where people can access information about the world, express themselves freely, in particular express political views, even if they're doing it in a rather offensive way, but also not be the home for the more egregious content. We've long used a mix of humans and technology to enforce our policies. So for a long time, and you'll see this at the beginning for many tech platforms, we rely heavily on users to flag content that may violate our policies so that it can be removed. Now, that's reactive. So it means it's relying on a human flag to alert us to content, then we review it. Everyone has teams around the world that review this content quickly and so on. But it means at any moment in time, there could be content on the site that violates our policies. We don't want it there, which is part of why we do a lot of work to educate communities about our policies, to create things like the Trusted Flagger program, to build more bandwidth, to alert us to this content. We're very motivated to get it down, but it's not perfect. So what we did is we took all the videos that we had removed for violent extremism in the past, and you kind of have to have that because that's your training set of data that you use to teach machines and algorithms what they're looking for. So it takes all those videos, it's looking for patterns, other things, so it can detect new instances of similar content.
If somebody is a hate criminal, that person's not allowed to have a presence on Facebook, period. Even if he or she is just saying, talking about her favorite food, it's not allowed. So we need to give guidance to our team saying, if you see an account in the name of this person, or if somebody creates a page in the name of this person, that comes down. We also don't allow praise or support of that person or his or her actions.
So we do have the trust and safety teams who actually do enforce and review. I think what we try to do with our teams is to focus on at the subreddit level versus the user level, because you could play whack-a-mole with users all day long. And so for us, it's looking at communities and looking at swarms of reports going to communities. Also, we do user studies with our users to tell us how do you feel about the site, what's happening, tell us some of your concerns, where we do ask them to flag things for us, and that's a way for us to sort of focus our attention.
So if you think of Neda Sultan's murder during the Arab Spring, or recent police shootings of unarmed black men, where the immediacy of being able to share that content online has really galvanized action. And for people who are using our services in places that have mainstream media blackouts or educating others about what's unfolding on the ground in countries around the world, that immediacy is critical. And we will lose something very valuable if we completely transform the way these platforms work. If you think about news and the examples you gave of, a tragedy happens, you go to Google or you go to YouTube, you're looking for information, can you trust that what you get at the top of the results will be credible and authoritative? That is our goal.
It's amazing to me to see the number of people sort of engaged and pushing back and fighting and getting involved in politics and questioning, which I don't think has existed before, right? So while it is absolutely a challenge of where we are today as a society, and because of social media and what it does, it is a reflection of those societal challenges and issues and pain points. It's also inspiring where people are engaging. They are sort of, taking it to the next step and getting engaged in politics and sort of participating more on the platform.
We now have campaigns that have come from more than 60 countries around the world. I think 68 countries around the world. These campaigns have reached more than 50 million people. And these are student-driven campaigns that are getting people to understand what hate and extremism look like in their community and stand up to stop it.
The real problem isn't just that there's hate or violence on these platforms, it's that there's hate and violence in the world. And we have to think hard about how we can leverage these communication tools to be part of the solution, to do the hearts and minds work, to address those issues at their root. But one of the other examples is a program we launched last year called Creators for Change, where we identified a set of ambassadors on YouTube. existing YouTube creators with strong audiences of young people who are interested in countering hate and xenophobia, and we helped fund them to create content and to go out in the community and speak, and then to mentor other creators. And we've had several social impact summits and training labs where people can learn how to create content for the social good. It is a more hopeful strategy. And because it is what I think will actually shift the underlying problems of hate and violence in the world, I just want to put in a plug for us to continue to invest and believe in counter speech.